Habakkuk 2:2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain." That comes out of the Old Testament of the Bible. I like that because I believe legislators had that in mind when they started working on package labels for foods. And previous to any enactment or any legislation, labels were so unclear, people were misinformed, and they just weren't right. According to the Federal Trade Commission website that was last modified on June 25th, 2007, the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act was enacted in 1967. It states that the Federal Trade Commission and the Food and Drug Administration were directed to regulate all consumer commodity label and packaging information. Again, because a lot of it was very deceptive prior to that. Well, that's the history of the labels. Let's talk about the label itself. And in demystifying the label, I'm going to break it up into three different things. It's going to be the bad parts that you need to be aware of, the good parts, and then some of the ugly truths that are incorporated in the label. Let's go right to the bad to get that behind us. On my example right here, the bad parts, or if you're looking at your own labels, would be the fat, and it's listed as total fat, saturated fats, and trans fats, cholesterol, and sodium. Let's talk some more about the fats. Total fats are listing, and that includes all type of fats that may be in the product. But all fats do not have to be listed. Only saturated fat and trans fats are required to be on the label. Let's talk about saturated fats. Saturated fats are fats that you find in more natural type foods, such as milk, butter, cream, and fatty meats. If your product includes any of those things in there, you're going to have a high saturated fat count on there. And everything on your label has numbers or percentages next to it. Under the saturated fat are trans fats. Trans fats we've been talking about lately because in 1996 they were required to be added to the label. Trans fats include or are, according to the Food and Drug Administration website that was updated on February 3rd, 2010, a trans fat is a liquid oil that was made into a solid fat. That process is called hydrogenation. They take hydrogen molecules, connect them to the liquid oils, and it turns into a solid fat. If you're thinking about trans fat, think about shortenings, that white creamy shortening, some people call it Crisco shortening, or margarines are all trans fats. Included in these numbers, the companies are required to disclose not only if they scoop that lard or oil up or fat up and put it into the product, if anything such as crackers or some cookies are fried or cooked in or with that trans fat, then that also has to be reported. Let's move on to cholesterol, which is the third one in the bad type of category. According to the Medline Plus website, last updated on March 19th, 2010, cholesterol is defined as a waxy, fat-like substance that is found naturally in the body. We also can add cholesterol to our bodies, which becomes the problem. If too much cholesterol is in the body, it tends to stick to the inside of the linings of our arteries. And if it sticks to the inside arteries, it's going to block your blood flow, and that's just not a good thing. That leads to coronary heart disease. Cholesterol, saturated fat, and trans fat all do that, which is why they're required to be on the label. The last one is sodium. Sodium is regulated by our kidneys. Our kidneys also regulate the input and output of our fluids in our body. If there's too much sodium, your kidneys want to maintain the fluids in your body, and it doesn't allow your blood to flow through your system, your circulatory system correctly. That's called high blood pressure. Now, that would be the reason why you don't want high sodium levels in there. Let's go to the good stuff. Good stuff is highlighted in blue, is dietary fiber, apples and vegetables, fruits, I like apples in particular, as you can see, have a lot of fiber, helps keep things in the lower end moving around and out. Vitamin A, good for your eyes, beta-carotene. Vitamin C, ascorbic acid, is an antioxidant, which is a stress reliever. Calcium, good for your bones and your teeth. Iron, which carries protein. Protein is not highlighted on here. It is on the nutrition label, which I think it should be, because protein helps build your muscles and helps speeds up your metabolism. Those are all the good things. Some of the hidden truths or ugly truths are in here. Let me first tell you, this label comes from a macaroni and cheese container, one of those that you get when you go to a, when you're having for lunch. This says a serving size is 1 cup, but actually in that container is actually 2 servings. So all the numbers and values in here you now see double, because there's actually 2 servings in here, and everything on your label is based on 1 serving. So the calories that say 250, you're really looking at 500 instead of 250. The same thing with your percentages. Your label tells you what percentage of a 2,000 calorie a day diet you are eating when you look at this label. So your total fat is 18% of the total amount of fat you should have for the day. It's actually 36% because everything is doubled on here. Sum it up real quickly. Your bad things are fat, cholesterol, and sodium. Look at your numbers. Try to get 5% or less of those. Your good things, your vitamins, nutrients, fiber, and protein, try to get 20% or more of those. Everything is based on what you're looking at, what type of health goals you're trying to achieve. Thank you.